Hey everybody, welcome to the Roofr Masterclass. Really pumped to have everybody here. Clearly, this is not Pete, and I know everyone's missing Pete right now, wishes that he was here. I do too. I'm sad that he's not here, but we have friends this time. So today the topic is what's new in Q1, a Roofr product wrap up, and we are joined by our amazing senior product marketing manager, Mackenzie, and Virginia, who is, Virginia, what is your official title? I was going to say the boss of all CRM stuff.
It is Senior Product Manager.
Senior Product Manager, and she's going to be helping us out with a bunch of the CRM stuff. So before we dive into everything, I just want to give a quick little recap. Of course, your host with Not the Most, Nick here. We're flying solo today. So again, we have guests, so don't worry. Pete will be back and won't have to deal with me all the time. But just a reminder, we do have that masterclass giveaway with those socks. And so Jen knows. I got my socks. They're awesome. And you'd want these socks as well, as terrifying it is with me and Pete's face as a cartoon on there. So one person will be randomly selected to win an exclusive masterclass swag item after each masterclass. So excited for that. So stay tuned to that. Hopefully you guys win for that, and we'll send it over. Also, follow us on social for Roofr announcements and news. 2025 is going to be a big year. Q1 is just the start of it, and we'll go over all that today. We have some really cool things coming, so make sure we get us on Facebook and Instagram. We'll send out some more stuff. And in 2 weeks, join us for guest Amanda Benoit to talk about how she uses the Instant Estimator to bring in leads and tricks for how she tracks lead sources in Roofr. Check the chat for a link to register with that as well. As usual, please put your information in the chat as well. We're definitely going to be answering it. We have multiple people in here answering in the back end, so we're excited to help out. And just a reminder, these are always recorded. You can always find them at the Help Center under Masterclass or roofr.com/masterclass. You can also check them up on our YouTube channel. And if you have feedback, please email us, Jennifer@roofr.com, who is in the back end here. She's the brains behind everything. So just let her know. If you don't like my hair, if you don't like anything about me, be personal. It's fine. She'll yell at me later for it. And there'll also be a survey at the end of the masterclass. If you guys could do us a favor, tell us what you guys think, how everything is. Be happy to help out with all that. So without further ado, go French I am, we'll dive in to the masterclass. How much do we miss Pete already, everyone?
Nailed it.
Yeah, there we are. So, Mac, why don't we start out?
Awesome. Well, Nick really stole my thunder. Unlike him, I actually know all of our job titles, though. So just to reintroduce ourselves, my name is Mackenzie. I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager. It's a bit of a made-up title that only exists in the tech world, but essentially my job is to connect the product teams and the customers. So I'm really excited to get to chat with everybody here today. And then you already know Nick. I'm not going to go through that. But Virginia is our senior product manager. She's one of the many people who work on the CRM. And she's joining us today because she's going to be giving us a live demo of some of the production features that the team's been working on. So she'll be able to give some more context into what we're building and why, which is great. You can go next. We need a hand signal. Again, Nick stole my thunder on the housekeeping, but I've run a webinar or two in my day, and I know that it can't hurt to just reiterate that the session is being recorded. So everything that you see in these slides, we're going to be following up with the recording, so you don't need to worry too much about taking notes or taking screenshots. We're going to send all this information to you at the end. You can just really focus on the presentations. We are going to hold the Q&A session at the end. We'll kind of get to that in the agenda. We have a lot to cover today, but that's why. And then we're going to be sending some additional follow-up resources. So this is a bit of a different webinar. We're recapping all of the new features that we've released in Q1. There's probably features that you've missed. We're really excited to share them with you today, give you a little bit of insight on them, but we'll follow up with all the resources that you'll need to actually implement them if you haven't yet. So don't worry too much about that. We're going to pepper you with information at the end. Awesome. So here's what we're going to cover today. We've done the welcome and introductions. Next, I'm going to do a little bit of a spiel on Roofr's product vision and sort of like why we're building what we're building and in the context of Roofr as a whole. And then we're going to get into the nitty-gritty details of recapping all of the features that we have released over Q1. We've got sort of three categories of those features. We've got big, new, like net new features that we're seeing for the first time that are still being developed as we go. So we'll cover some of those. Virginia will cover some of those. We have sort of like feature enhancements, some really exciting additions to existing features. We'll cover some instant estimator updates. And then we have quality of life platform updates. These are the small but like very impactful changes that we've made to the platform. Easy to miss, but really, really important for our customers to know about. And like I mentioned, like 3 times already, Virginia is going to be going into the live demo of job costing and work orders and what those beta features look like and what's coming up next on the roadmap.
Awesome. Super pumped for all of this. So let's, do you want to start off on this?
I do. This just feels like the perfect segue. We are going to be covering a ton of features in this session today. It's an indicator of our overall release strategy. We release a lot of features very quickly. It's really exciting, and we love having you guys be a part of it. If you've ever missed a feature, I just wanted to remind everyone that the implementation team is an always-on resource for you. Every single person who's a Roofr customer has access to not only their implementation team and support team, but account managers. So anytime a new feature comes out, we encourage you to reach out to those account managers and walk through those new features with them. But I wanted to introduce the group sessions that we also host. So the implementation team, who are the sort of the experts in optimization, and they speak to a lot of different roofing businesses. They can give you tons of best practices. They can share what is working for other customers and help you implement those insights. They can help you set up new templates, new automations, all those types of things. And the best part is that they're available just on a weekly basis in these group session formats. And with the benefit of the group session is you can also learn from other contractors. You find out what's working for them, what's not. So we'll send out a link to sign up for the implementation sessions as well. But highly encourage you to take advantage of those. They run all the time. That's it.
The best part about those things there too is like they're running Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern. The Monday ones focus on CRM, the Tuesday ones focus on proposals, the Wednesdays one on material orders, invoices, and work orders. Those are really good to kind of have a platform like this that's a little bit more specific on one tool, getting into the nitty gritty from one of our amazing implementation specialists that you see there. And asking questions live, like having that group scenario, kind of getting some ideas from other people. Those things are awesome. We also have the Roofr Academy and stuff like that too. But all this kind of stuff, I would highly recommend it. It's a great way to supplement it. If you just have signed on to doing the group education sessions while we're building out the rest of your tool from your form submission, this is a great way to make your first implementation call with one of our experts go from like a B+ to an A+ real quick. You have that information, you're ready to go, and you know exactly the questions to ask. So really, really highly recommend that.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Awesome. So now we're going to get into the more nitty gritty details. Oh, sorry. No, we're not. I lied. We're going to do a bit of a Roofr recap. Next slide.
By the way, one thing. Robert Demetrio in the comments there, I saw your website for Amore Roofing, and that's Amore is the best tagline I've seen in a while. So shout out to your branding team. Really, really good.
Awesome. So actually what we're going to start with is more of the Roofr vision and what we're building for the Roofr platform, not just the individual features, but more importantly, sort of the why we're building it. Click. Awesome. Just some background information. I know that a lot of you have been with Roofr from the very beginning. You've seen us go from that measurements tool to more of a sales toolbox with the instant estimator and the proposals. And you've been along for the journey as we build out a CRM or more of an end-to-end operating system. But I just wanted to give some more of the ethos on why we're building this. And what we found is when we stopped and we took a look at the industry, we found that a lot of businesses looked like this. And that doesn't matter if you're a small owner operator, you're running everything by yourself, or you have a large team. This probably looks really familiar. Running a roofing business requires a lot of different roles and a lot of different tasks that are accompanied by those roles. And whether you're managing them yourself, and then you're just adding more and more and more work onto your plate, or you're managing a team who are managing those tasks without sort of that single source of truth, that you spend a lot of your time keeping the lights on. So you're just managing this system. And that becomes a problem because all the time that you spend just keeping those lights on, you're not spending on actually growing your business. And whether it's taking time back for yourself to work less, or really growing and scaling your business, whatever that means to you, we want you to be able to sit back and focus on the things that matter to your business.
That's a huge part too, just to touch on that. When you have a bunch of single source solutions, the other thing is that you have multiple subscriptions, multiple contacts, multiple onboarding specialists, so on and so forth. And you're usually paying for onboarding with other tools as well. So if you think about that, you're going to be paying close to the salary of somebody else a year just with those extra tools. Not to mention needing someone like Max said to manage those tools and stuff. You're going to really slow down your progress and stuff. And that's why we chose to build everything in one. So let's click on the next thing.
Stealing my thunder.
I know. I tried to stop. I was like, don't say it.
No, it's a really good point. It's the reason that we found the opportunity to build something. We looked at all of the solutions that were available and felt like none of them really solved that problem of giving businesses time to actually work on their business. So whether you're adding more people, then you're adding more people to manage, you're adding more software, all of a sudden you're spending your time managing that software, which is really perfect segue again. So when we took a step back and we looked at this, we found that roofing businesses don't need more software. They needed a software that worked more in line with the way that they work as like a small business managing all of those things, or a larger business managing all of those teams. They needed a software that was really, really easy for their teams to learn and use. And that's massive. And that's really underrated, because a CRM is only as good as the information that you're putting into it. And so your teams need to be able to easily understand and use it, and make sure that they're following the processes and the data that they're putting in is clean, and so that the data that you're getting out is clean. Obviously, we've covered that roofing businesses need to spend less of that time on admin and more time growing their business, but they also need better insights on how their business is performing. And without that access to one really single source of truth, they're not really sure where they can make those improvements, and they need to make those improvements fast. We don't need these big, like in-depth reports all the time. We need instant insights so that you can make in-the-moment decisions that will compound over time. Next. So really, if we boil it down, we found that roofing businesses really just need a single, easy-to-use software. Next. The suspense. And I sort of touched on this, but basically what we believe at Roofr is that by not adding more and more softwares, you're creating a more efficient system. And the power of one platform lies in its ability to compound its value. So when everything is working together, you're starting to increase its efficiency, more so than if you're plugging those holes by using individual softwares. You're still, when you're using multiple different softwares to do multiple different jobs, it's still working. You're still getting this great all-in-one system, which we hear a lot, and industry agnostic, you hear that a lot. But the all-in-one system doesn't really compound its value. Now you have a system that's like really operational, but it's not efficient. So with Roofr, our approach is a little bit different. What we're building towards is that single source of truth, so that everybody on your team, no matter how big or small it is, knows where to come for that information so they can make more informed decisions. Everyone is also trained on the same tool, the same process. Like we said, it's a repeatable, standardized format. And then your team actually adopts the software. So that's our product goal. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because we know that we're in this build phase. And so everybody is aware that we have started to release CRM features, but we just wanted to share that we know that we've got a long way to go, and we're really excited to have you guys be such a part of the software that we're building and giving us feedback and being really like hands-on users, because we want to build the software that's right for you. Next, click. So that being said, I did want to run a poll and just get some insights from everybody on the call, because we want to make sure that not only are we building the features that work for you, but that we're also making sure that you're aware of them and adopting them. And we wanted to basically learn from you, how easy do you find it to start using new features when they're being released? So I'm going to share that poll in there right now. This sort of goes back to the implementation group sessions. I think it's really easy to get caught up in the day-to-day and not make time for that continual learning. So the implementation group sessions are a really great way to sort of make sure you're always staying on top of things. Oh, go back. I've got one more poll. Awesome. I'm going to leave that open for 5 more seconds.
The more poll entries, the higher chance you're going to get to win the socks. So.
Oh, interesting. Well, I'm closing it now. And then, how do I close it? Close poll. Great. And then actually, Nick, if you could go back one more. The other thing, no. Forward. Yeah, awesome. And then the other thing that we want to know is, what's the best way to reach you about new features and updates in Roofr? I have the benefit of seeing the back end of things. So a lot of times people will say, yeah, we love the emails. And I know that's a lie because you're not reading them, because I can see the analytics. Let us know. The more answers you get, the more entries. But we just want to make sure that we're reaching you in a way that you want to be reached. Oh, email newsletter, huh? I'll be fact checking all of you. Just kidding. All right, I'm going to close that poll now. Thank you, everyone, for participating in that. That's just going to help us get better. Oh, I've got a cat there. Awesome, Nick. Now we can get into the actual details of the features that we've released.
Excellent. Here's the fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh, you can go to the next one. We don't need to cover this again. So like I said, there's a couple of categories of feature releases, and these are the big developments and sort of unlock new use cases in Roofr. So I'm sure you're familiar with a couple of these, and we'll do a quick overview of each of them. But in Q1, we released our sort of first version of the calendar and scheduling tool. We released our supplier integrations in beta. We've been working on 3 different supplier integrations in conjunction with each other. So I'm sure you've seen those updates depending on who your supplier is. We can get into more of those details after. And then, of course, the job costing and work orders. And just to reiterate, these are the big meaty features that we know we're just going to keep adding to before we're really considering them as like done. But we wanted to get them in your hands as soon as possible.
I think that's super important to kind of double click on. I can't believe I just said double click out loud. I'm disappointed in myself. I'm sorry. But a big thing to kind of go into is the fact that there is multiple aspects to these things. They're an ever living, growing tool. And that's Roofr as a whole, but also even all our sub features, like you're seeing calendar, suppliers, job costing, work orders. We get them out very good and very functional, but we want that feedback, and that feedback goes directly to product managers just like Virginia, so we can iterate and build on that V2, which is super exciting, and we move very quickly. So any feedback you're getting gets to them right before. Virginia and I were talking about this, talking about something right before this in regards to a feature that's going to be coming out down the road that customer reached out to me directly, and I got them connected with Virginia. So super important to see that there's always iterations. It's never going to stop. We're always going to grow, and we're always going to be listening to you. I want to click there.
Awesome. So the first feature that we wanted to just cover as a recap, I'm sure you have all seen it, but we know it's been one of the most commonly asked features, I think, since we started talking about a CRM over 2 years ago, calendar. It's been on everybody's mind, and we're really excited to have released sort of that first version of it. And that's the biggest lift, was getting the infrastructure of the calendar out the door. So what that means right now is we've got the calendar view actually in Roofr. So you can connect your job events and all of your job records directly to individual events. And that's super beneficial because it allows you to keep your work separate from your personal email. And what we see a lot is like very cluttered inboxes. We see it's hard to keep track of dates, times, updates, all of that. So the ability to have a system where you can just keep all of your work in not only your calendar events and your job events in one place, but it's really easy to actually access those job details directly from those calendar events, because the job card is really like your source of truth. It's your command center. So having access to all of your job progress, all of your job contacts, your updates, your records, your internal collaboration at the event level is really, really important. It saves tons of time. And I mean, the biggest time saver is probably like going back and forth for trying to get updates from your team. When's this happening? What's the status of this? So if you're looking at the calendar, you have access to the job card. If you're looking at the job card, you have access to your calendar. The other like massively valuable portion that we released with this sort of first version is event-based automations. And I think, Nick, you can probably dig more into this. I don't want to steal your thunder because this is his favorite thing.
You're better than me. You're a better person than me.
Yeah, I'm a better person for sure.
The event-based automations is some of my favorite stuff that we have out there. When I was running the roofing company with my dad and talking to hundreds of roofers a month, no exaggeration on that, one of the hardest things that they're always dealing with is having that constant communication and that touch point with the homeowner. And we know that referrals are going to be your highest converting leads and your lowest cost per acquisition leads every single time. And when you see good reviews, and if you just think like in the grand picture of things, not everyone's saying, oh, my roof is so beautiful, all that stuff. A lot of those reviews are like, Rob and Michelle were so good at being communicating with me. They were there every step of the way. Highly recommend them, because ultimately, when I was selling roofs, one of the things I would always say about those fly-by-nighters that I would be up against is like, yes, they might be cheaper, but when your roof starts leaking or a problem happens, God forbid, are you confident that they're going to call you back? I've been calling you nonstop. I've been borderline annoying with these follow-ups. Wouldn't you want somebody who you can count on that aspect? So with the Roofr event-based automations, you can tie email and text based to any automation. You have a scheduled appointment go in, then shoot an email text with dynamic fields giving you the date, the time, the place. You have a material drop going in, send them an automated automation. You have an install going in for scheduling. You have it a 3-day project. Make sure as soon as you book that in, it sends that email and reminder emails coming up to that date as well. It allows you to really streamline your process and be in communication, and also send other reminders to your team and change stages and stuff like that too. But it really, really cleans up your CRM hygiene and really, really improves your customer communication, which at the end is going to separate yourself from the competition.
Yeah, absolutely. I see a couple of questions in the chat, and I know the constant sort of, sorry, my cat just, it's witching hour every day at 2:00. She comes in. I can't stop it. I know that we're always going to get the question of what's coming next. We're looking for additional functionality in these features. We know that. So the calendar and scheduling functionality is a very, very robust tool. We know that it's an item that's on our roadmap for the long term, and we'll come out with incremental releases. So things like job scheduling, production scheduling. Those are sort of these, like, that's coming in version 2, right? The first focus is going to be a lot of like quality of life updates. I think the biggest one people are going to be asking for is the GCal integration. It is coming. I think Virginia could probably give us a more solid understanding of when that's coming, but it's coming in the next quarter. So look out for it in Q2, and you'll be able to obviously connect your calendars there. But we highly encourage you to actually reach out to your account manager, to reach out to the Virginia, and let us know what you're looking for in the calendar and the scheduling, so that we can, again, just get feedback and understand what to build next and what to prioritize. Great, next. Awesome. Another major update that we've had is supplier integrations. I'm sure you've seen the emails going out for early access to some of these integrations. So as I mentioned, we started with 3 of the major suppliers. ABC is now complete. It's fully available to all of our customers. So if you're an ABC user, you can now connect your My ABC Supply account directly with Roofr, so you can get real-time pricing in your proposals and send it directly to My ABC account. Beacon and SRS are also in a gated open beta phase where we're slowly adding users to those integrations. So if it's something you're interested in, if you use either of those suppliers, reach out to us and we can get you added on to that integration. But with any of these supplier integrations, really the value of that is you're able to, once you're connecting your pricing, your material lists with your proposals, you're getting a lot of like time savings, but more importantly, you're getting peace of mind, and peace of mind in itself saves a lot of time. So you're able to quickly and confidently quote jobs. You'll never have that moment of second guessing, like, is my pricing right? Or have to learn the hard way, finding out after it's sent and signed that your pricing is wrong. Maybe you're not worrying about it before, and so the time savings is an issue, but you're reducing those errors. You're also able to have that peace of mind that your team's quotes are correct. So if you're managing teams, you've got sales managers, you never need to worry that you might be losing out on revenue because your team's information was out of date. You just get that, like, that peace of mind always going in the back of your mind. And then another really sort of underrated time savings is the standardized forms. So when you're actually converting a proposal into the material order form, all of your information is standardized. It has your contact information from your company. It has your customer information. There's just 2 or 3 details that you need to update on your own. And that means that, like, you're really reducing that back and forth from any missed information. You're sending that material order to your supplier. They're saying, hey, I missed this. Obviously, like, going back and forth, the amount of time savings that can really add up. Nick, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, these 3 things are like the 3 kings of the industry, right? And having those all integrated in are just going to allow you to be way more streamlined and way more confident in that stuff. As everyone knows, there's been a lot of price increases, and they're consistent. And knowing that we can go in there and just click on the option to update and have all those prices update for all those catalog line items is just such a peace of mind. And just being able to then one click turn it into a material order and send that out directly to My ABC, to Roof Hub, to Beacon Pro Plus, and knowing that will be received rather than sending, like I used to do, a text of the material that I needed for the job to my supply rep, which I did not know if he received it or not. This just helps you out so much more. And then the iterations on this, the growth on this to add in some more things for a globally hosted catalog and much more is just going to be super exciting to kind of to come in next. So being just the peace of mind of being able to quote jobs quickly and more confidently is just helps out so much with it.
Yeah, and everything that we build always sort of ties back into that single source of truth for overall efficiency. So your material ordering and your quoting in itself is more efficient, but then the way you're managing your business is more efficient as well, because you're able to see where those breakdowns are happening. You can see if a material ordering is in a status for too long, or what, like you can really drill into the bottlenecks and say, okay, well, like, why is this taking so long to get approved? And then you can make those quick changes like we talked about.
100%.
Cool.
Oops.
So in Q1, we released sort of one major exciting feature enhancement to our instant estimator. Nick, you can go. This is really the big one we wanted to cover. For anybody who's using the instant estimator, we have some additional questions that we've actually added to the backend. So you can now add 6 new question options. These are the same way that our existing questions are. The questions themselves can't be customized, but within these options, you can either toggle them on or off. So you're able to actually customize your instant estimator more to a situation. So you're able to add more questions, add less questions, you're able to reorder them, etc. As you know, you can add as many instant estimators as you want in the backend. So you're really able to play around with the questions. And why that's important is because if you're really getting into the marketing efficiency of your instant estimator, you're able to start testing what's working and what's not, what's getting you the best leads, what's getting you the best conversion rates. When you have more questions or less questions, obviously we recommend, it's built into the platform. We recommend being really conservative with the amount of questions that you add to your instant estimator. It can be very tempting when you have all those options to add them all, but we need to be mindful of the customer experience going through and adding all of those questions. But it's a great option to test.
There is just a touch on this too. There's a sweet spot. So we've been doing the instant estimator for about 8 years now, turning 9 very soon. That was our first product we ever released. So we saw a bunch of different flows throughout that process. And to Mac's point, being able to add and take away, if you're more insurance focused or if you've got solar as an option and all that stuff, is great to have. But when you turn on all these questions, it's 15 questions. 15 is too much. It's going to cause people to drop off. You won't have that conversion in there. The sweet spot we find is around 6 to 10 questions in there where you can get the information so that they're hyper qualified, that they're price conditioned, and they're ready for you so that you can reach out to them with a lot of quality and match your urgency with their urgency as well. But also, to Mac's point, different situations, different links, different sources are going to gear to different kinds of questions. If you're creating a door knocking app that you're having your sales reps go door to door with, maybe you want to have 3 or 4 questions, just the very basic ones in there for address, what's on the roof, what do you want to go back with, and that's it. If you're looking for something a little bit more qualified for high-end neighborhoods and a mailer that you're doing there, more questions the better. You're going to get some good data, but that's the ability here, being able to add, reorder, take away, and having that customized flow. It allows you to be a lot more deliberate with what you're asking. And last thing I'll mention is, yes, they're not customized questions because we have to build them into like our back end. But guess what? Going back to what we were talking about earlier, we polled our users and got a lot of great feedback and grabbed the most requested ones and put those in there. So we're always updating, always changing, and always listening to you guys.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a really good point. Thanks, Nick. I wanted to basically just focus in on the outcomes of the instant estimator because it's a really valuable tool for the qualification process. And when you're able to get better qualification, you see business outcomes. So when you're drilling into the details from the customer, you're not only giving yourself better information, but you're giving your customers more accurate information, which builds trust. And I think we can all relate to that. Like if we put ourselves in a customer's shoes and we filled out a form and the number was way off, or it didn't reflect our situation accurately, we'd kind of be like, okay, great, cool tool, but that doesn't really mean much to me. And so you don't build that trust. And there's a really fine balance with the instant estimator in giving the customer a range and sort of like a ballpark figure that looks right to them, and not necessarily like over promising. So it is a really fine balance. And these additional questions just help you sort of like drill into that more and build up that trust without having to rely on that number. The other aspect is the more information, the faster you can qualify. And I think sometimes it's easy to forget that you're qualifying customers just as much as they're qualifying you. And any time that you spend on an unqualified lead really can impact the time that you would spend on a qualified lead. And that can be the make or break. We know that speed to lead is so important. So in the couple of minutes that you spend following up with a lead that really isn't your demographic, that could be the difference maker between you connecting with another customer. And that's where the price, giving price ranges on the instant estimator is really important as well, because we know that people can feel a little bit touchy saying like, okay, well, we don't want to price ourselves out, et cetera. But it does a lot for qualifying a customer when they are helping a customer self-qualify. So if you give them a price range and they come in and they're like, whoa, that's way too high, but that price range more accurately reflects your prices, you don't want to waste your time on a customer that you're going to not make enough profit on, enough margin on. So allowing them to sort of like qualify themselves out is a really, really underrated use case for the instant estimator. I'm so sorry. She's a terrorist.
Your point that you're making is super valid too with the getting rid of the tire kickers. There's so many times in the past when I was selling with the instant estimator, or I hear from our clients and stuff like that are using it, that range is perfect to really disqualify that. So they didn't have to go to the job. They didn't have to go knock on that door and waste that time driving out to do an inspection and stuff, because they call that customer and go, hey, Mrs. Jones, saw that you got a quote online. It's roughly around like 10,000 to 12,000. Like 10,000 is too much. Okay, cool. Peace. Like, don't worry about it. So you can move on to the next one and really kind of optimize your time frame and save that customer's time frame too. They want to go look for that cheap person. That's their focus. Go ahead. You don't have to waste time with me.
Yeah, I think there's like that saying where it's like the Walmart exists for a reason and like Ferrari exists, or maybe it's Ford and Ferrari, I can't remember, but it's like there's like Walmart exists because there's an audience for Walmart, and then things like Ferraris and these luxury brands exist because there's an audience for the luxury cars. And so you just need to meet your audience with your offering. So you wouldn't want to compromise your offering to whatever to meet a customer that isn't going to be a good fit for you.
Totally.
Maybe a bad example. Or Ferrari, not the same thing.
I'm wondering if Jen's listening in the background, if our next socks can be terrace kitties. I think that would be super fantastic. So I'm just throwing it out to the universe. Throwing it out to the universe. I want that.
Every day at 2:00, this little terrorist gets up on my desk and she sits right here and she stares at me and she meows in my face and then she smacks me in the face.
That's love. That's a kitty's love. All righty. So we got the quality of life improvements.
Yeah, and we're just gonna speed through these. They're pretty self-explanatory, and then Virginia can really spend the time digging into the bigger features. But just an overview of what we basically released. We've got some custom invoice numbers for anybody using invoicing. We have insurance fields on the job card, job attachment folders, and the default job folders. And then we have some preferred payment setting updates for anybody using Roofr Payments. Awesome. The insurance fields. So the insurance fields are available in everybody's account right now on the job card. Tara's kitty. This is a sort of a first step again in building a more robust insurance workflow offering. That's a really great first step. This can be toggled on or off in the job card. You can find it in your account now. But it really what it does is it allows you to really easily find your insurance information. We found that previously users were storing this information in notes and documents. It was hard to find. Now there's just a really quick, easy place to keep everything stored. And then the next step will be connecting this to the rest of Roofr's tools to create more specific insurance workflows.
I love this feature. It's so simple because it can be toggled on and off. It's just there for you. So anybody who is doing insurance, maybe it's not your primary focus, or maybe it is, being in the job details of the job card, just having that open, having the spot for that, and knowing that it's going to be added into some other tools, super exciting.
Mm-hmm. Another exciting update, and now I feel like I'm stealing Virginia's thunder because these two updates were ones that her team worked on.
Great job.
Okay. The job attachment folders. So again, another very small but very mighty change that has come out has been the ability to add folders within the job card for all of your attachments. And there's sort of two aspects to this. There's job folders on the individual job card, and then there's more universal default job folders. And like I said, we'll follow up with more information on the nitty-gritty details of how to use this. But it's very exciting because you can actually create groups for your job attachments now. So now you can house all of your similar documents together. So keeping things like insurance, inspection forms, all of those things together. And it's we prioritize interconnectivity. So when you're creating a folder on the job card and you want to make this the default for all of your jobs going forward, you can actually write from the job card when you make that, you could apply it to all new jobs. So you can manage your default settings. So anytime you create a job, it'll have these folders, but you can also manage it at the job level. So if you are doing things like insurance, 50% insurance, 50% retail, then you're able to customize it on that basis. Virginia, did I do it justice? Am I missing?
Great. If you're the face of all of my product releases, I'm more than happy.
Kitty and I.
Terrorist Kitty and Mac.
Terrorist Kitty.
It should be a TV show. So, yeah, this just is going to make your life so much easier having those folders directly in there. So just knowing that you could have, again, that CRM hygiene that I preach about on these masterclasses, knowing that anytime a new job's created, your team knows exactly where to put those folders and make sure that's all dialed in.
Awesome. Short but sweet invoice numbers. So we know that when you're switching over from a CRM, or maybe you're just starting up with Roofr, but you're by no means a new roofing company, the ability to change that number on the invoice is important. So now you can just in the invoice settings, you'll see that section there. You say edit, and then you can change the starting number. So you can keep your records super accurate with wherever your previous records were. And that's all I have to say about that.
This is just the perfect, exactly what they're called, quality of life updates. It's much needed, and just a small thing. This little 1% changes add up to big numbers in the end.
Yeah, and not to keep harping on this, but our team is really focused on making these quality of life improvements and making sure that we are prioritizing usability of the platform. We have a Slack channel, and it's probably our most active Slack channel in the company, and it's called Suggestions. And anytime any of our customer-facing teams has a call, we hear any of your suggestions, we throw it in the suggestions channel and makes it really visible to the whole organization, and the product managers pick those up, and they make these quality of life updates. So reach out to us often, give us your feedback. We want to understand why these updates are important to you. So come along our journey with us.
Awesome. And get paid your preferred way. Tell us a little bit about that.
This is the last one, and then I will stop talking and you guys can have the floor. Again, just a quality of life improvement in the payment settings. So in the back end of our payments platform, you can actually toggle on what types of payments you accept. So you can obviously accept ACH and credit card payments, but now you're able to actually customize those down on more of like a default way. So if you don't want to accept credit cards, you don't have to accept credit cards on all, like you can set your default to be ACH, and then similarly to the job attachments, you can actually manage it on a per job basis. So you can set your default to be ACH, and then whatever the situation is, you can say, okay, I want to accept a credit card payment on this deposit, maybe whatever your situation is. Maybe you've worked something out with the homeowner. You can actually manage it on that per job basis, but then your default settings just protect yourself. So again, whether you're managing yourself and you just want to save time, so you don't always have to make sure you're double checking to make sure that you've set up your settings properly, or you're not accepting like an Amex payment because the percentage is higher. Or you are managing your team and you're letting them accept payments. That's one of the it's one of the great things about Roofr Payments is that payments and invoicing no longer become a bottleneck. So you don't need to have somebody who sits at that invoice phase and all the salespeople filter all the invoice requests to them, and then there's the bottleneck there. And now your salespeople can actually just like convert proposals into invoices. They can immediately send that payment request, and then customers can pay it online. So you're getting paid a lot faster, but these default payment settings are also protecting your margins in the back end. So if you're giving your team access to accept payments, you can make sure that you're not accepting Amex payments. Again,
And that's a real good thing too. And the nice little, we'll give you kind of a sneak peek. There may be a cool feature coming out around these payment options as well with processing fees. We'll just make that coming out very soon, so you'll be able to kind of get that over to there. I think Brian is already on there for it. So Brian, I'm not going to say that exactly what you said is coming out, but pretty much exactly what you said is coming out. So we'll jump on to the next one. We got friction in the production.
This is Virginia. You are up. Actually, Nick, sorry, this is you first.
Oh, yes.
We're going to talk about the friction in production.
Yeah, that's a big thing that we kind of go into, and Pete and I talk about it in most of the masterclasses, and just like removing that friction to it into the production. So I always use the analogy, like, and this happened to me when I was with my dad's roofing company. In 2018, we had a once-in-a-century windstorm. Literally, there wasn't a windstorm that big in 100 years. And what would happen if you go to sleep one night and the next morning you wake up with 100 new leads in your bucket? Like, number one, is your system and your processes solid enough that you can handle and get to all those customers and quote all those customers? And if you can, great, that's awesome. You probably are using Roofr. That was a good joke there for it. But Mac loved it. Virginia loved it. The Ferris Kitty loved it. But you're probably using Roofr. But also, how are you going to handle that on the back end on the production? That's just as important as the sale. And what we want to do with this year, and what we are going to be doing, is kind of removing the friction in production. Because you can sell your butt off. I almost said ass. I'll just say it there. But you can sell your butt off and really get wow, that shut off. As much jobs as you can in the pipeline and get it all there. But if you can't produce that production, you're going to get that bad reviews. You're not going to be able to help that. If you can't get your crews out there, you can't get the materials out and everything else. So really opening up the process we've introduced work orders from Virginia's team, which is super exciting, and job costing, which is super exciting. But iterating on that, growing on that, and tying it with some of our other tools, that's the next big thing, so that we can help you withstand that heavy load of a bunch of leads coming in and making sure that your sales can match your production. And that's what a lot of people and a lot of CRMs unfortunately miss. They're really good at the front end on the sales and that communication, which we are as well, but they're missing that back end part. And we want to make sure we could help you out with that.
All right.
So without further ado, Virginia, your turn.
Okay, I am going to go ahead and share my screen here. So I'm going to demo a few different things today. Just make sure we can see that. Great. Okay, so before I get into the very highly anticipated demos, I want to touch on something really quickly here. So we have the work orders here. First and foremost, I'll be demoing work orders, job costing, and then I'll give you a sneak peek as to our contacts work. So we're going to be updating the way contacts look and feel. You'll be even able to have multiple contacts per job. So I'll show you a bit of that. But again, before I do, let's talk about work orders and this beta tag specifically. So Mac and Nick talked quite a bit about feedback and the importance of incorporating that into our product development process. And so when you see a beta tag like this, it means that the feature is in its first iteration. It's more or less new. And I want you to consider it as like an invitation to offer us feedback. Because more often than not, there is a second iteration that's planned coming down the pipeline. And we intentionally stagger these iterations so that we can be able to collect that feedback. So we want to hear from you, and this allows us to validate our hypotheses, our assumptions, collect data. It's really, really important for us to get that feedback because, again, we don't want to be in a situation where we're spending 6 to 8 months developing something and then it comes to release time and it either doesn't meet your expectations or we've somehow missed critical functionality. And so whenever you see this beta tag, just know we want to be able to hear from you. I want you to feel as though we're partners and collaborators. So I encourage you to reach out to your account managers or anybody in product, myself included, and then we can work through any kind of questions or recommendation suggestions you might have. So in terms of when do I offer my feedback, definitely whenever you see a beta tag, that would be the first part. So I'm going to go into work orders now. So I'm just going to pick a job here and we're going to go down to work orders and I'm going to go ahead and hit view. So work orders right now looks very similar to your material order where you have some crew details here, contact information, notes, and then all of your materials. When you create a work order, you can choose whether you want it to import your line items from the proposal or material order. Of course, material orders are only going to import over material line items and your proposals will import over everything else. In our V2, you'll be able to choose which line items you want and we'll import pricing. I've noticed that some of our users are using these as kind of like a scope of work agreement and contractual agreement with pricing upfront. So we'll be able to have that as part of our V2. But for right now, we have our crew contact. So you can either add a new crew or you can pick an existing one in the list. We'll import over the customer details. And if for whatever reason you don't want your crew to see it, you can just remove it. Doesn't impact the job at all. You can just remove it from the work order itself. You can pick an installation date, add some details, and this is where you're going to add instructions for your crew. So everything from installation, setup, cleanup, etc., all of your line items, and then photos. So what's really cool here is we finally have compatibility, two-way sync between work orders and jobs in terms of attachments. So right here, we see all of our job attachments in the work order itself, and anything I upload to the work order will be reflected back into the job. So we're now creating streamlined, central, like a repository for all of your documents, which is super exciting. And if you want, you can always import from Company Cam as well and go ahead and pick the project as it's very similar to the proposal workflow. Or of course, upload as you will. So you can go ahead and add these and then you can go ahead and send. Here's the work order. Please review. And we're going to go ahead and send. And when we do that, we're sending our crew or whoever the crew recipient is an email. So I'm going to go over here. Don't look at my shameful inbox. And here's the work order. And so when by clicking
2,600,
I said don't look at my inbox. You know those inbox. There's those inbox zero people, like the total freaks. Yeah, I'm not one of them.
I'm not a total freak.
You just keep your stuff clean. That's not me. I'm so sorry.
I'm just crazy. It's different.
I'm sorry for the cultural shock. when you are a crew and you get the email and you click the link, this is what you're going to see. So you're going to have this work order, and you can download a hard copy if you want, or just hang on to the URL. You can forward the email. As you update the work order, this will be updated as well. So if you go in here and you're like, shoot, I forgot a line item for instructions, go back in, type it in, and it'll be reflected on this URL. We will be adding in PDFs as part of our view too, but for now you have this kind of live version of a work order.
I love the ability to have that, especially added the attachment. I'm sure that I'm not the only roofer in this masterclass that can say that they have installed the wrong roof before, or on the wrong house, or ripped the wrong one. So having that in a work order saves everything. Before we had work orders, like when I was running the crew, we would actually have a picture from Google Earth that we post in there as well, just so that we could double check. So I love that feature. And then also showing any problem areas like a skylight or anything else like that. Really nice feature.
Better to be safe than sorry.
Yes, trust me, it is.
Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and close this, and we go back to the job. So now when we go down here, we'll just see that that work order I was working in is now sent. And I can also update the status just to know where it is within its life cycle. Is it in progress? Is it been completed? So you can go ahead and do that from the job or from the work order list. So this is the work order piece. Feel free to throw any questions into the chat. I'll kind of field them as I go through it. But this is going to be work orders. Like I said, we have that second iteration, and there's a bunch of fun stuff coming, like an integration with our calendar, so that when you send the work order, you have the option just to schedule the installation right then and there. You don't have to come back to the job, schedule it, kind of do that roundabout process. We'll do it all automatically for you. So that's going to be one of those exciting pieces in the next few months. I'd say like 3 months.
Love it.
Yeah. Okay. Job costing is the other big piece that we just released, which I am super pumped about. I think this is really valuable for a few different reasons. One, it gives you a place to obviously document all of your costs so that you're not having to store it in Excel or different places. It's all within the job. But then also we're giving you a bit of insight into how are you performing against your estimate. So often you have your estimate, you send it out, and we're not actually talking about or looking into the details as to, did I actually hit my margins that I set? Am I kind of over or under? What expenses can I cut? Where can I increase? Like, do I need to increase my margins? And so that's really what this tool does, which again, really thrilled about. So the way it works is you have what we call a projected and actuals. So your projected is going to be the sum of your estimates. So an estimate, again, being a proposal. So you have your one proposals up here. And job costing will just take, again, the sum of all of these and say, great, your total gross revenue or kind of projected gross revenue is going to be 10,000. Here's your total cost of goods sold, your total profit and total profit margin. If ever you want to adjust those, you can go in there and say, actually, I don't want to include that proposal. It's void, or maybe it's a change order I don't want to include. You can always do it that way. So go ahead and close that. So that's how you modify the projected. Once you're ready to, there's going to be a fancy button that says add actuals. I've already clicked it, but you'll see that option for you. And when you click it, you're going to get this new table here to go through and actually add all of your costs. So another really great thing about this feature is that we're starting to take inputs from other features within the platform. So your material orders and your invoices are going to import automatically. So I don't have to go in here and punch in my revenue from the job. I'm just going to take the invoices that are already there. So the system imports those invoices. I can also add any kind of revenue if it's a change order or anything that's kind of maybe ad hoc, I can add in this way. And then we also have a breakdown of discounts. So we do make that distinction. So, hey, these are the discounts from your invoices, which gives you your net revenue. And then you can go in down further, and this is where you add in your costs. Similar to invoices, we import over your material order costs. So we have one material order on file. So we see it here. And as always, if I wanted to say we had a change order, I can always add something like this and then add in a cost, whatever it might be, and finish it. And again, excuse the costs. I am not a contractor. As much as I like to think I know these costs, they might be wildly inaccurate. So, but as you go through, you can obviously add your crew costs here. Again, this is going to be a future iteration. Work orders will be able to include pricing, and then we'll import that into job costing too. So again, one less thing you have to do, and then you add in your other costs. And then lastly, we start to dabble into commissions here. So this is also exciting. You could add in the commission, and you can do it based on today, gross profit, gross revenue. You'll soon have the option to do it based on net revenue and net revenue and net profit. So you'll have 4 options in how you want to calculate commission or overhead. It works just as well. And it can be a percentage, 10% of probably your gross revenue you would apply. So now you can start documenting, and again, keeping these all in one place, giving us a total net profit here at the bottom. Now, this is the insights piece. If we come back up, I'm going to hit save. Now I can see a comparison between my actual and my estimate. So I can see my actuals 10,500, which is up from my estimate. We outlined by how much and by what percentage. And so you can just kind of see that across the board. We can see we were down in COGS. We spent less than we thought we would, which is great. But again, we showed the amount and the percentage. So now what you're doing is getting an idea as to, again, your estimation process. What did I think I was going to earn, and what did I actually earn at the end of the day? And so really exciting stuff. You can start to fine tune and again, improve your margins. You can start to have really candid conversations with some of your sales reps and talk about, maybe why we overestimated, or perhaps why costs ran too high. So you can always have those conversations and just, again, fine tune that estimation process, which ends up having means more profitability for you and dollars in your pocket. So that is the job costing feature in a nutshell. And the chat is buzzing. I just hadn't scrolled down the chat. Let me see. Any questions from my team that you found that you want to call out, or anything that jumped out at you? I'm just going through them myself right now. Yep. Yeah. Go on.
A lot about the job numbers and tracking on the job card, which is a nice point there, and some financials and having those automatic payment updates and stuff like that. I made a comment in there that they do reflect in the job costing as well, as well as the invoice. So it could definitely help out with that. Did you see anything else you wanted to dive into?
No, I see a comment from Christine about multiple emails and secondary contacts, which could be a great segue if we're happy with the job costing demo. Okay. So sneak peek, this is in development. You will not see this for another few weeks, but I'm now going to show you the new contact page. So I know, one thing at a time. Okay, we go to our list. We have our customers list. This is also going to get an overhaul, but now we have the new contacts page. So Roofr is introducing the concept of multiple contact types. So now we're going to have customers, vendors, suppliers, insurance, and crews. We can go in here and we can edit the contact. We can add in phone numbers, a second phone number if you'd like, or a secondary email address. We can add all of this information in. And if I hit save, we're just going to start seeing that kind of added here. So again, if we come back and add a secondary, and then you see it as such. Now, what's also really cool is that we're going to be allowing you guys to send emails or texts based on all 4 modes of contact. So again, right now we can only text or email the one, but now you can go ahead and add consent for both. You can create emails and text messages within the contact record itself, so you don't have to do it all within the job. If there's contact specific information or modes of, or I guess messages you want to communicate with them, you can do it all in here. We have the type, lifetime value. That's going to be a sum of all the job values. And then you have notes. So customer, maybe terrorist kitty, and save. And these are actually going to show up on the contact record. So again, now you can start keeping logs of who you're working with, any kind of relationship information that's critical. You can store that all in the contact record itself. And this will eventually feed into the job where you can have multiple contacts per job. So you can either manually add those, or once we start having some of those resources, so things like material orders and your work orders, those have supplier branch managers and crews associated to them. And so we're going to bubble those up to the job too, to say, hey, this is the crew that's working on this job. Hey, this is the supplier you ordered from. And we're going to start, again, seeing just more information on the job card so you can, again, do everything from one place. So this is a really exciting piece that's coming out. If you'd like to be a closed beta tester, please let me know. I would love to be able to give you early access and be able to collect that feedback early on. So
Love it.
That's all the teasers I have for us today.
Well, that's super exciting. That context is going to be a big thing because the possibilities are endless. How you can add them into the contact, the material orders, the invoices, all that stuff, and make sure, especially if you're dealing with larger companies like HOA or anything else like that, it's going to be super, super exciting. So make sure you guys reach out to Virginia at roofr.com for any questions on all of that stuff. But thanks so much for everybody for joining. If you have any other questions, make sure you email either Virginia, myself, or Mac. See you later, Terrace Kitty. How can you be mad at that face? It's so cute.
Yeah,
so
you can.
But we'll catch you next time. Again, this will be posted on our YouTube and roofr.com/masterclasses in the next couple of days. As well, we do have our education sessions that are running every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And last but not least, we do have our next masterclass in 2 weeks coming up with Amanda Benoit. I call her Benoit because I thought it was Benoit, but it's not. And we will be able to talk a little bit more about that instant estimator. So really excited to chat with everybody then, but looking forward to chatting with everybody on the next one. Thanks again for joining, and we will talk to you soon.